my executive coaching practice, I've learned that questions can serve clients better than answers because asking the right question allows you to make the right decisions when others aren't around to help. One of the core questions I outline in my book and use in my executive coaching practice is this: what's it like to be on the other side of me? I think this is an important place to start in your journey of self-leadership. You have to understand what it's like to be on the other side of you. Have you ever met someone who was clueless, so lacking in self-awareness as to what it was like to be on the other side of them? They thought certain unflattering outfits made them look good. They'd hit reply all on all the wrong emails. They lacked the ability to read the room or the Zoom. They swore that they're a full-time influencer, but they only got like 300 followers. What you doing? What's happening? They think they can sing, but they can't. Perhaps they think they sound like John Legend or Adele. Come on now. They were always passive-aggressive, but they think that they're kind. They were toxic, yet believe they were a great leader. This person that you're thinking of, they had no clue what it was like to be on the other side of them. But have you ever considered that you could be this person? I know this might be a tough pill to swallow, but I think it's important that we start here and ask the tough questions. What typically happens whenever self-awareness is brought up is that we immediately think of someone else who needs it. We all think we are self-aware and believe others aren't. The irony of self-awareness is that you would have to be extremely self-aware to know that you're not self-aware. How many times have you heard someone admit they're not self-aware? Nobody's walking around going, yeah, I'm not self-aware. You probably never met someone that said that. Self-awareness is the biggest problem none of us believe we have. In my executive coaching practice, I've found that people who believe they're the most self-aware are actually the least. When I'm working with a company, I'm there to help solve problems. And what's interesting is the problems that are shared with me aren't problems. They're often people. Frequently, when I'm doing a discovery call, I find that most of them are not what problems, they're who problems. Someone on the call believes that there's someone specific in the organization who is the problem. But the bigger problem with the person they believe is the problem is that that person believes somebody else is the problem, and on and on. When I sit with married couples, each spouse believes they're enduring the other's shortcomings. There is a profound incongruence between what most people believe it's like to be on the other side of them and what it's actually like to be on the other side of them. So, have you considered what it's like to be on the other side of you in your personal and professional life? Not what you want people to think or the narratives you have created about yourself, but how people actually experience you in real time. Answering this question generally can be difficult. Instead, ask yourself, what is it like to be on the other side of my emails? What is it like to be on the other side of my parenting? What's it like to be stuck in a group chat with me? What's it like to be on the other side of my marriage? What is it like to work with me? What's it like to work for me? What is it like to do the holidays with me? Is everyone enjoying or enduring your cooking? I want you to think about these questions now and work on them later in the workbook. Now, you may think to yourself, being on the other side of me is amazing. Are you sure? What if it's not as great as you think it is? It could be fun to be on the other side of you. It could also be exhausting. It could be inspiring, and it also could be intimidating. A word of practical advice when you think about what it's like to be on the other side of you. Assume you're not self-aware and err on the side of caution. Recently, I have been absolutely captivated by the idea of biomythography. This is a literary term meaning a style of composition that weaves myth, history, and biography in an epic narrative. It's basically the idea that we are all telling ourselves a story about ourselves, others, and the world around us that is intertwined with truth and myth. It's easy to get wrapped into biomythography every single day. It's like we sit in the director's chair of our minds and tell a story that suits us best. Whenever there's any sort of conflict with someone in our personal or professional lives, our biggest temptation is to tell ourselves a story that makes them the villain and us the hero. The truth is, they're not that evil, and we are not cape-wearing heroes. It's easy to go to work and think we can do somebody else's job better than they can. It's easy to critique a leader from the sidelines. It's easy to think your marriage would be better if your spouse contributed more. It's easy to believe that we're the ones putting up with everyone else's petty nonsense. But have you ever stopped to think about how convenient of a story that is for us to tell ourselves? Because those stories assume what? Well, they assume that we're amazing. Those stories assume that what it's like to be on the other side of us is utter euphoria. But is it? It's paramount that we dismantle our biomythography to make sure we're not glorifying ourselves and demonizing others. Otherwise, we become experts on what everyone else needs to do, what everyone else should be doing, what everyone else should be thinking. We believe the world would be a better place if other people would just get their act together. Oh, I wish I had $1 for every time I heard the phrase, if they would just, then they just fill in the blank all day. And that they can be any number of people. That externalized wish to change people becomes a formula that we apply broadly. My life would be better if they would just. If my spouse would just. If my friends would just. If my boss would just. If Democrats would just. If Republicans would just. If the president would just. The truth is, the world would be a better place if we would just. And we could fill in the blank all day long. Unfortunately, you can't control what questions other people should be asking. You only have control over your own growth. Wishing someone else would do the same is no way to go to the next level. One of the biggest myths about growing in your life and career is believing that it will happen when somebody else changes. You will grow when you change. If your work environment never changes, it doesn't mean you can't. One Thursday, I hit up my team and I said, tomorrow we are going to the studio to film 21 videos. They said, okay, because I pay them. But they were confused and not sure how it was going to go. The next day we were in the studio filming 21 videos. And here's what I know. In order to roll with those kind of expectations, people should be well compensated. But compensating my team well is no excuse not to plan ahead. I realize that what it's often like to be around me is you better buckle up and keep up. That's fun for some, exhausting for others. So my team and I consistently have conversations about pace because of my enthusiastic and spontaneous style. To put it simply, self-aware people do 3 things well. Number 1, they are aware of their strengths. Number 2, they are aware of their shortcomings. And number 3, most importantly, they are aware of their impact on others. Do you know what you're good at? How do you know? I recommend taking different assessments like StrengthsFinders or the Enneagram, the links to which you can find below this video. But beyond an assessment, what are you good at that has been verified by others beyond your mother? Have you heard phrases like, you're really organized, you're really detailed, you're a good communicator, you're a great writer, you're my greatest cheerleader? Have you heard any of these things? Self-aware people know what their strengths are. And now you have to ask yourself, do you know what yours are? Take some time to think about your strengths and weaknesses and put them in the workbook after this lesson. Do you know what you're not good at? Some people are incredible in an email, but horrible in conversation. Some people can perform wonders on a stage, but are awkward in person. Some people believe the meeting truly begins whenever they get there. Some people, like myself, can be extremely impatient. Some people are checklist, to-do list types of people, and others are rather forgetful because they don't write anything down. Do you know your shortcomings? There are many assessments that can help you understand your strengths, but it takes gut-level honesty to truly understand your weaknesses. Being aware of your impact on others is the biggest component of self-awareness, in my opinion. This is all about emotional intelligence. This is all about the ability to read a room or read your home. This is all about moving slow enough to recognize how your actions and words impact those around you. It's easy to parent the way you were parented, but if deep down inside you resent your parents, why would you want to copy and paste their style into your parenting? Some people had a boss that was always hard on them, and they grew to hate work altogether. So their leadership style is ruling with an iron fist. I'm just not sure that the let's make other people's life miserable because somebody else did the same to me leadership model is one we should adopt. Think about how other people's words and actions have impacted you. Then consider how yours might be doing the same thing to someone else right now. Let's think about your home. How are the people that live in it or visit it, how are they impacted by your words and actions? Let's think about your job for a minute. How are the people that experience you more than anyone else in the world, 40 to 60 hours a week, how are they impacted by your words and actions? You want to take a hard look in the mirror and truly answer this question. What's it like to be on the other side of me?